its November meeting of the Henry County School Board to order at this time. So, would you check our attendance and roll?
Yes. Chairman Arthur?
Here.
Dr. Hall?
Present.
Ms. Brandon?
Here.
Ms. Maddox?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Dr. Stanbaugh?
Here.
And Mr. Zay?
Here.
So, motion at this time to approve this morning's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Those in support of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Take this opportunity also to welcome those in attendance, visitors, members of the press, members of the central office staff, and anyone else that might be here. We appreciate you taking the time to attend this morning's session. I will ask at this time Mr. Milner to deliver the morning's invocation, and Ms. Flanagan will follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning. Thank you, dear Lord, for life, health, and strength. Well, thank you, dear Lord, for allowing us to assemble here, dear Lord, on this appointed place and time to discuss the goodness of Henry County Public Schools. We pray, dear Lord, that you allow us to make the best decision possible concerning our children and our staff and our parents. Bless us, dear Lord. We shall be blessed. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving to section 2 of the agenda, speakers from the floor. We have no speakers signed up to address this board this morning. So we will move on to section 3, awards and recognition. And we'll start with Mrs. Palter.
Good morning. Today I have the honor of presenting an award to Rich Acres Elementary School. As you may have already heard, Rich Acres was selected to receive the 2015 Title I Distinguished School Award. This recognition is based on student achievement during the 2012-2013 and 2013-2014 school years. The school receives this distinguished award for achieving a mean score at the 60th percentile for both English and mathematics, for meeting full accreditation for a minimum of 2 consecutive years, and for meeting or exceeding the federal accountability benchmarks for all students and for each subgroup for the current year and for the previous year. And we are very proud to acknowledge and recognize Rich Acres Elementary School today for that achievement. We have with us Ms. Beth Fulcher, Principal, and Ms. Shauna Pilson here to accept the award from Dr. DeVault and Dr. Cotton.
Our entire board congratulates Rich Acres Elementary School. School has had a long-standing tradition of outstanding achievement for the young people who attend that program. We do appreciate what you guys and you ladies and guys maybe are doing out there, and urge you to keep it up, whatever it is. We know it's good. Thank you. You have more?
I do.
Great.
I also have the pleasure today of acknowledging each of you for an achievement. At your seat, you have a certificate, and some of you also have a pen. Through the Virginia School Boards Association Academy, the VSBA offers individualized professional development activities designed for Virginia school boards. The association recognizes board members for their dedication, time, and hard work in improving boardmanship skills through VSBA meetings, conferences, board development and training, and active involvement in the association. The SBA members earn credits for Academy Awards, which are based on participation from July 1st to June 30th of each year. There are 5 levels of awards, with certificates and pins awarded for particular levels. The VSBA Academy Awards are presented annually to school board members who meet the requirements. And this year within our board, we are pleased to say that Mr. Alker and Dr. Stambaugh have earned the Certificate of Recognition. Ms. Flanagan and Mr. Zaire have earned the Award of Achievement, and they get a bronze pin with that award. Dr. Duvall and Ms. Maddox have earned the Award of Excellence, and they earn a silver pin with their award. And Mr. Milner and Dr. Cotton have earned the Award of Distinction, and with their certificate, they earn a starfish pin. So we thank you for the things that you do for our school board and through the association. Congratulations on your awards.
We'll move on to the information agenda at this time. Ms. Strader, you're going to present to us some people that will deliver us some good news.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Dr. Duvall and members of the board. Since we began the Warrior Tech Academy at Magna Vista, we've had several presentations where we have referenced being members of the New Tech Network. So today we have Mrs. Black and Mrs. Favero here, and they are going to share with us some of the benefits of being a member of the New Tech Network.
Good morning. Good morning. We're going to start with our presentation discussing Warrior Tech Academy and the membership with New Tech Network. As a New Tech Network school, the Warrior Tech Academy follows 3 guiding principles: teaching that engages, technology that enables, and a culture that empowers. The professional development and support offered by the New Tech Network includes 600 hours plus of professional development. Directors and facilitators have 24-hour access to a wealth of resources, tools, documents, collaborative groups, and cohorts, along with training modules and quick guides to make professional development relevant, convenient, and easy to return to again and again. At the top, we have listed some examples for you to see of some of the professional development that the New Tech Network provides. One of the things we want to highlight is our school development coach that makes a visit to us, and it's ranged from 7 days to 6 days a year. And also that includes remote coaching that has planning with our team, follow-up, and one-on-one support. ECHO is a learning management system through the New Tech Network. It is designed specifically to support project-based learning as well as problem-based learning to facilitate collaboration and communication and to improve teacher practice. ECHO is used daily to access courses, assignments, unit resources, project plans, a multi-dimensional gradebook, online groups, discussion boards, and an extensive library of instructional resources for our teachers. Google Apps is, for education is integrated into ECHO as well. The New Tech Network schools have immediate access to this communication and publishing tools, including Gmail, Google Docs, and Google Sites. ECHO is built on the New Tech Network's deep experience with technology-enhanced project-based learning. instruction and assessment practices. It includes access to hundreds of exemplary projects that can easily be customized and implemented by our facilitators within the network. As a result, ECHO is an integral part and component of the New Tech Network's professional development programs. We provided with you some examples of the tools that we have available for our school-wide project learning, and this is specifically for our teaching and learning process. We have course agendas, project management tools, outcome-based gradebook, student journals, and discussion forums. Some more tools that we have: peer feedback tool, our behavior tracker tool, tools to reward and encourage, our school and network-wide groups, along with our community directory. Some additional school and instructional resources we have available. And if you notice with your reading, it follows right along with our 4 C's that we embrace with the Henry County Public School System. That includes training materials for our principals, teachers, and support staff, searchable library of standard-based projects developed by teachers in the New Tech Network, sample rubrics, sample school policies and procedures. We also have sample parent handbook examples, staff handbook examples, and digital portfolio guidelines. To continue on, we also have within our resources some staff recruitment and training tools, student recruitment samples, partnership development materials, master schedule and calendar samples, counseling and college planning materials, technology infrastructure and support guidelines, along with software tutorials.
Here is an example of the ECHO homepage. This is not for our particular Warrior Tech Academy. This is what you might consider a stock photo. But this is a student homepage example. The homepage is actually customized by the director's view, a facilitator's view, a parent view, and also a student view. So this is an example of the student view. It features personalized content. If you look to the left, you'll see this example student is enrolled in AP Government, Chemistry, and a pre-calculus course. So there is easy and immediate access to the daily agenda, along with the current project resources and materials for the particular courses the student is enrolled in. If you look towards the right, you can see their access to their Gmail account, as well as some network-wide events and information because the students are part of the network as well. Next is a sample or stock photo of a facilitator's gradebook. The facilitator view, of course, would show all of the students enrolled in a course. A student view would show just for that particular student. The parent view would show just for their particular child. At the top of the screen, you can see the bar graph referencing the school-wide learning outcomes and how the entire class is performing at each outcome. And if you look towards the bottom, you would see the individual students and how they're performing in each category. This allows students, parents, facilitators, and directors to have immediate 24/7 access to how the teaching and learning is being recorded there in ECHO. Another sample is an example of a discussion group or a club. This is an example of a drama club. Again, it's a stock photo, but students, facilitators, directors, and network-wide groups can be created. Students, facilitators, parents, etc. can join groups, and then you have what looks like a Facebook wall, sort of, where you can post links and make comments and reference various things and be sort of together in a digital or virtual community or group. So we have examples of that. That can happen within schools and also within the entire network. So what we'd like to share with you next is a New Tech Network production of a Welcome to Echo student tour. So it's just a short video clip where they have a student taking you through the features of Echo and its use from a student perspective. So there we have an example of a student sort of touring you through Echo. But again, membership in the New Tech Network does include more than just access to Echo. So as Mrs. Black referenced, the over 600 hours of professional development and that 24/7 web-based service where you can make that professional development easily accessible, convenient, and personalized for the adult learner as well. So we are excited to share that at the December meeting, some Warrior Tech students will be here to share some of their work with you all in the form of public service announcements. So we are excited to send them your way, and we thank you so much for the opportunity to share what Warrior Tech Academy and New Tech Network is doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments regarding this presentation? Wondered, one of the last things you showed is that parents can click in and kind of see what their students are doing. Do we have any way of determining how many are doing that, or if they're doing that? If parents are really checking and using this like the students are?
Yes, I think PowerSchool might have a similar feature, but there's a management feature where you can see if, when the most recent login was for a particular parent, you can actually see it for the student as well. So you would be able to note how many times they've logged in. I believe it also would show the extent of, a duration of minutes or whatnot for how long they were actually in there, or if they were not in there.
I guess the other question I had somewhere, I remember a comment about the person coming to school to kind of evaluate or to update or to teach. Has that been a good process?
Absolutely, yes. I think that is one of the greatest benefits of belonging to New Tech Network is that we have that coaching service, we could say, available. Because even when she's not on site with us, she is just an email or a phone call away. In fact, twice this week already, I had kind of like teleconferences with her. Once earlier this week with myself and her and our school advocate. One of our facilitators serves the role as New Tech Network advocate for our school, so the three of us convened earlier this week, and then just yesterday, she and I conducted what she calls a balcony walk, where we take sort of a director's and administrative view and everything happening within our programming, and she offers support like that. So it's really a huge benefit that we have that support from the facilitator and the teaching and learning standpoint, but also from the administrative standpoint.
Mr. Chairman, if we can brag just a little bit, we had a visit from a group from Florida recently, and what I was so impressed by is we were recommended as a site visit for this group from Florida, even though we're only in the second year of implementation. And do one of you want to share what the person said about our program? I think we got some good feedback.
Well, they were extremely excited about the organization of our academy, as well as to see how articulate our students were, and as well as the excitement that they were able to see from our students. And I think that was the shining point for this particular group, or as well as any group that visits our academy, is that we allow our students to take lead in this aspect, and that's the direction that they would like to take in the following points to make sure that they establish their academy to do the same thing. Is that we have these things in place, but we're also able to demonstrate and that our students show what they're learning versus just constantly talking about it on a simple basis. So.
And they also said that they would recommend our site to anybody.
Absolutely.
Wants to learn about.
Absolutely.
And to me, that just, because in our mind, we're still learning and developing. We're only in the second year, but to have the director of New Tech recommend our site is a nice compliment, I think.
Hey, if I can add to that, Cotton has some influence too. Privileged to meet with her earlier this week, and one of the, I guess she visited the program out there, and she was just had all kinds of glowing statements about what was going on there. So, and she's from Pennsylvania. So, congratulations to you ladies and to all of the people who were involved in that program. I feel like it's been a positive for our county.
Thank you.
I think that it appears that we're on the cutting edge of something that's not only new but exciting. And I wish that we as a board can look at expanding this to all students of Henry County. All students of Henry County. Figure some way to include at Bassett, if not, figure out some way of including the Bassett students in it. But I think that we should take advantage of it, because others coming in and seeing what we've got, they want to take advantage of it. Let's make sure all our students get advantage of it.
And Mr. Miller, I appreciate you saying that. We do have a couple students that opted to attend Warrior Tech that were in the Bassett zone, but we are meeting with the principal, Mr. Gibbs, at Bassett, because I have set the expectation that we need to develop an academy program there as well. And whether it's New Tech or not, it needs to have many of the same principles in place. And we've been talking about an IT academy for Bassett High School, and we're still having those discussions. And my expectation is that we're going to implement something next year, of course, with board approval and support. But we're still working on that, and we'll come back to you. But that's one of the challenges that we have. We want all of our students to have access to the same opportunities, and that continues to be a challenge for us.
And we need to lobby to get our funders aware of this so they can be on board, because we know we cannot do this without funds.
so much.
Keep up the good work in that program.
Thank you.
Move on to section D, Ms. Strader.
Thank you.
Program of studies operation.
Okay, if annually you all approve the program of studies, is a list of our course descriptions as well as other points and as far as instruction is concerned. This is the first reading. Next month we'll bring it back for approval. The changes in the program of studies and the high school program of studies are noted in red, and there are very minor changes this year. Actually, there are only course description changes in a few areas such as business and information technology. There's a AP government change, sports medicine. There are changes to foreign language descriptions as well as the AET curriculum that's offered at New College. But basically the changes are like verbiage, and as far as maybe adding rigor to the course from the State Department, we just basically changed to their version. So very minor updates for the high school program of studies. Do you have any questions?
Any new programs that we haven't offered?
In the high school program of studies, no. But as Dr. Cotton said, that's something that we are working on. We do have to get the book out. We do the first reading this month. The next month will be the final reading, and then it will go to publisher in the month of December so that our students will have it in their hands in January so they can start registration. And typically what we do is we did not put the specifics. So hopefully, as Dr. Cotton has mentioned, Bassett High School will have an academy, and that, of course, is not in the program of studies. But before that would be started, we would come to you for approval, and our students would have that available for them as an option for the fall of 2015. That's the plan.
But we did add some additional opportunities. Last year, if you remember, we offered the EMS and fire safety program.
And the IT.
The IT academy, which we didn't have enough enrollment this year.
And those are positive. They're still there. And the firefighting class did. It has been very successful to this point, and we hope that will continue to grow. And, of course, continuing to work with PH and a new college on courses that they would offer.
Okay, other questions? This is information, so we'll move on to...
I've heard bits and pieces and everything I've heard sounded good about the engineering academy. Could you just touch on it briefly? How many students we got involved in there?
Okay, basically what that is, and there actually is a meeting today to talk about that. When we send students to PhD programs, usually they go first and second block. The engineering program runs a little differently with the partnership with Virginia State, and those students only attend the new college for one period. So they miss their first block class, and then they go back to their base school. Now this year our membership it's a little lower. We have 3 students. That's the last time that I was told. And then last year we had 5 students, and the year prior to that I think we started out with 6 students. So we're hoping in our meeting today that we can talk more about how to grow the membership there, because our students have those options, and that's what we want. We want all of our students when they start off in high school to get that same foundation that you're talking about and those 4 C's, and then as they become juniors and seniors, have the options available to them to pursue what they are interested in, and whether that means attending PH, Governor's School, the ACE Academy, or attending New College. But right now that program they're on basically in 9 weeks. Instead of most of our students who leave the campus are on the same semester base that we are in the high school, but the New College runs in 9-week sessions. So they actually are getting in 4 classes while they're there. They do things with computer programming, of course, with the engineering and the CAD, and they're changing the programs. But we base that all through what Virginia State recommends, and the New College works with. But it is growing. Their new facility.
I stood outside and watched. It was like they were writing Chinese.
Right. I felt the same way when I was there, because y'all realize I'm not a math science person as well, but it's quite engaging. Our students who went through the program, we've talked to several of them, and they really enjoyed it. Most of them want to pursue something with engineering, and they were very positive. And of course, likewise, the new college has given us many compliments on how prepared our students are for the courses, and they have the math foundation they need, and they're very successful. And so we've had nothing but compliments from the students as well as NCI with the partnership.
Okay. Thank you.
That's really good to hear. I like to hear when somebody else says our students are prepared for whatever they want into over there. That's good
that is good news.
Other questions, comments? We'll move on to middle school.
Okay, and the middle school is the same thing. We annually approve the program of studies for the middle school, and the changes are noted in red. And this year we do have the addition of 2 courses. One course is called Game It. It's a programming course, and in that class the students are working with programming, coding. They work with Java, with graphics, and the students find that program very engaging. And as Mr. Milner said, when we stand and watch that, sometimes we are not very familiar with what's going on, but it's a wonderful opportunity for our students, and it's actually a software package that we were able to purchase through a company, and our teacher is a facilitator and can use that program and let the students guide their work. So the students actually can go as far up to high school level. They're doing middle school work as well as they accomplish the skills in the Game It program, it takes them up to basically a high school level as well. So it's been a very popular program. And the other class that we've added is the leadership course. And we're very excited about this. And actually at next month's board meeting, there will be a presentation from this class and from the teacher and students. And you may have already seen something because there's been a few articles, and I think BTW has featured the leadership class on their station. But basically in that class, we wanted our students to be able to really work on the 4 C's and their leadership ability and their skills. And the component that I find the most interesting is this class encourages our students to become active in their community. To take that active role and to branch out and to volunteer and to see what they can do about community-based problems and own it and take over and truly be leaders in our community as well as in the school. So that is a new course that is also in the program of studies.
Questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Strader.
Thank you.
And I might add, Mr. Strader, we're glad to see you back at your desk and in your chair. I hope you're feeling well. We move now to the consent agenda. All of those items are listed separately. They're, I guess, pretty much the same thing we have under that part of the agenda each meeting. Is there any particular section under the consent agenda that anyone would want to fill out for discussion? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to accept to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Discussion. Those in favor of this motion signify by raising the right hand. Move on to item 6, the action agenda. Ms. Landon, I believe you have some information for us dealing with
Thank you.
updating these complicated policies.
So the proposed policy revisions reflect our efforts to bring policies into compliance. I did provide an overview of the policy revisions at last month's meeting. At this time, the revisions are being presented as a second reading, and it is recommended that the policy revisions be approved as presented, unless there are additional questions.
Second. We have a motion and a second, and I'm assuming no questions or comments. Those in favor of this stated motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Landon. We'll move now to Ms. Lexa, who will just have some information about school nutrition lunch.
Yes, we've been granted some additional funds through Virginia Department of Education, which the funds were granted to them through USDA for equipment assistance, and through competitive grant we've been awarded $68,090, which we would need an appropriation for since we don't have that in our capital funds budget. And we'd also like to recommend that award of bid for the purchase of the equipment that was approved be awarded to Solo Company, Inc. of Martinsville, who gave us the lowest bid for the equipment that was awarded at the same time. We're moving quickly on this because we need to have everything approved and in place before the end of the year. Any questions?
Questions? motion to approve this request?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. No additional discussion. Those in favor of this stated motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries. So Lexi, you
Thank
also
you.
have another request.
Yes, there's been some additional USDA cheese offered to us for further processing by a company called Tasty Brands, and we'd like to recommend that the monies to pay for the further processing of that cheese be awarded to that company so that we can get some tasty products through Tasty Brands.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? None. Those in favor of this motion signify by raising your right hand.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Superintendent's report. Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have lots of great highlights to share from for November. The first item, artist visits to Henry County Public Schools. The Piedmont Arts Association has brought Kevin Reese to the area so that students have the opportunity to take part in the arts experience firsthand and learn about the value of art and how that enhances our everyday life. Reese has visited schools around the county teaching groups of students how to create meaningful works through artistic expression. And Ms. Reese will be back to the county several times, and the students he works with will continue sculpting collaboratively on one large project. Be the one. Axton Elementary School observed Bully Prevention Day in October. Each class recited a pledge to prevent or stop bullying at Axton. After each student recited the bully-free pledge, he or she signed a banner pledging to be the one to stop bullying. Athletes read at Campbell Court Elementary. Bassett High School football players and cheerleaders visited the students at Campbell Court Elementary recently to read a passage from the book Flat Stanley. The athletes wanted to show CCE students that reading will continue in all grade levels and is a skill everyone must have in order to accomplish their goals. Relay Walkathon. Carver Elementary students recently held a walkathon to benefit the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life. 116 students participated and raised $2,845.57. Members of the Carver faculty and staff will also be participating in the Martinsville-Henry County Relay for Life at the Martinsville Speedway on June 12, 2015. Wowed by weather. Collinsville Primary was honored to have Ms. Lindsay Anderson, WDBJ7 meteorologist, visit with students. The students learned a variety of weather information and were even able to act out parts of the weather cycle by being a stream, a sun, and a cloud. Students also learned about recycling and how to put back into the environment. Shoe drive. Students, teachers, parents at Drury Mason Elementary cleaned out their closets and bagged up old shoes to raise money for the PTA and help a good cause. The school collected 164 bags of shoes. That's 4,100 pairs of shoes. The shoes will be sent overseas and either used or broken down and made into new shoes for underprivileged families. So an interesting community service project. Language and Legos. Fifth graders at John Red Smith Elementary got creative during language arts as they used Legos to build their version of the setting for Island of Blue Dolphins. Students completed this pre-reading activity in order to communicate their ideas in both concrete and spoken form. And of course, the board approved the purchase of these new kits recently, so I was so pleased to see this in action when I visited the school. Animal classification. Mrs. Gazelle's, Mrs. Peters, and Mrs. Roach's first grade classes at Mount Olivet brought in different kinds of stuffed animals. Students practiced classifying their animals into different groups for a hands-on experience. They also practiced communication skills as they explained why they classified their animals in each group. Taking a stand. Students at Rich Acres Elementary participated in a Unity Day event. Students were encouraged to wear orange as a show of unity against bullying. Mrs. Rosenberg's pre-K class was excited to show off their orange attire and talk about how to be a good friend. Go Far. Rich Acres Elementary recently hosted a 31 bingo event as a fundraiser for the Go Far program. Go Far is a running club that practices after school every Monday and Wednesday in order to prepare for a 5K in High Point, North Carolina in November. This event provided participants with the opportunity to win 31 bags along with a variety of other prizes that were donated by local businesses. In return, the Go Far Club was able to raise money to help cover the cost of entry fees for the 5K in November. snakes, frogs, and turtles, oh my. Sandville Elementary students had the opportunity to attend Reptile Day at the Virginia Museum of Natural History recently, thanks to the support of the Sandville Riverton Club. Students were able to hold turtles, identify frog calls, and observe many species of snakes. It was a fun way for students to come out of their shell. Gentlemen, start your engines. Students in Tiffany Stovall's 5th grade homeroom class at Sandville Elementary School led the Pledge of Allegiance at the Goodies Headache 500 at Martinsville Speedway in October, and we're excited to be featured on the big screen and television broadcasts of the event. Celebration of culture. Stanleytown Elementary celebrated Deaf Awareness Week in October. Students listened to daily announcements and watched short videos daily that highlighted deafness in a positive way. Many learned their alphabet and new signs in American Sign Language and discussed the question of the day. Can deaf people drive, go to a movie? The answer to both, of course, is yes. Betty Thompson, outreach specialist for Virginia Department of Deaf and Hard of Hearing, visited to conduct many assemblies on various aspects of deafness. United We Stand for Red Ribbon Week. Students and staff at Stanleytown Elementary participated in the Red Ribbon Week celebration, United We Stand Against Drugs and Bullying, by dressing according to the theme of the day. The week began with a visit from Webster, a federal agent that also happens to be a drug bomb sniffing dog. He was accompanied by officers Venturi and Easter as they discussed how to recognize and prevent bullying. The audience was a sea of red, dressed in red from head to toe that day against drug abuse and bullying. It's all elemental. Mrs. Cecil's 6th grade science class at FC researched an element, and they used PowerPoint presentations, electronic storyboards, prezzies, or short videos to share their elements with the class. Using real-world examples, students created products that highlighted their element and then filmed a short commercial to sell their product. Judge Moody presided. In conjunction with the reading of O. Henry's The Ransom of Red Chief, Laurel Park Middle School students from Mrs. Moody's 8th grade English classes participated in a mock trial. During the course of this cross-curricular project, students researched the U.S. justice system, constructed valid arguments utilizing textual evidence, and effectively delivered case details. In addition to the skills acquired during this process, such as working effectively with others, assessment and self-reflection, and demonstration of comprehension of the text, students genuinely enjoy the project so much that they are requesting another one just like it. Communicating with the community. Jafet LeGrand, a member of the Laurel Park FFA chapter, recently presented the National FFA Creed from memory at the annual meeting of the Martinsville-Henry County Farm Bureau. Approximately 100 Farm Bureau members and local governmental representatives were present. The FFA Creed consists of approximately 275 words and is a statement of beliefs that FFA members should follow and live by. Leadership development. Bassett High School's HOSA Club recently attended the Region 6 Leadership Academy in Roanoke. Students participated in leadership activities, learned about leukemia and lymphoma, and listened to career presentations by representatives from the Virginia Commonwealth University. Bassett High School HOSA officers were also recognized and inducted in their positions. Flight data. Mr. Gilbert's statistics class at Bassett High School is analyzing numerical data. Instead of the class being given data, they're going to record the times it takes for their well-constructed paper airplanes to reach the ground when they toss them from the top row of the home bleachers in a variety of situations. One person in the group will be the person who tosses the plane to keep it consistent and comparable. One person will be the timer, and one will be the recorder. After doing this 50 times, they will analyze their data in the form, center shape, and spread to determine proper conclusions. Banned books. Students celebrated American Library Association's National Banned Book Week by looking at books in the school library that have been banned in certain parts of the United States. Morning announcements provided information about the books, and classes going to the library for research perused the bookshelf display. Mrs. Dawson said that at least 40 additional books were checked out over the week, so that certainly encouraged them to check those out. I'd like to say congratulations to a few folks this morning. Our Exabyte Challenge was accepted by some of our teachers. Mrs. Donna Hicks was excited to present Mrs. Angela Morris with one of the first Apple TVs won by a Henry County Public School teacher as part of our Exabyte Challenge. Teachers were encouraged to create dynamic, technology-rich integrated lessons
involving creativity, communication, collaboration, and/or critical thinking, and submit them to earn a chance to receive an Apple TV for the classroom. The Apple TV is used with the smartboard, and it allows the teacher students to airdrop presentations from a MacBook or an iPad. And another expedited award, Mrs. Fulcher was excited to help present Mrs. Joanna Griffith and her students with one of the first Apple TVs won by Henry County Public School teacher as part of the same challenge. Mrs. Griffith has been piloting the use of the Apple TV in her classroom so that students can become more familiar with its capabilities. And just one final thing I want to share with the board that we're kind of excited about. In your iTunes store, we have a new app for Henry County Public Schools. Mrs. Copenhaver has been working closely with School Messenger to develop a Henry County Public Schools app, and we are excited to announce that it is ready to go. You can download the free app, which I expect everybody to do, on your smartphone or iPad, and use it to navigate our website. And we're going to do a little demonstration.
We are. Well, I'll tell you what. You can also use it on your Android phone if you go to the marketplace. It's either Android or in the iTunes store. So Mr. Lee's going to take over the projector. And what he's doing is similar to what our students and teachers are doing in school with the Apple TV.
Yeah, we're using Apple TV by going to this there. So our app's icon looks like this. CPS. That's we have a news on the top left. Back to our main menu. So we have an icon for news, and if you click on news, it will show the latest news. On the upper left corner, the arrow takes you back to the main menu. We have our calendar. Our calendar. We have the school menus. Elementary school. A lot of this information comes from our website, so it's tapped on the website, so it pulls the same information, same PDFs. We can access Power School also from here. And we can view school board information, so we can see the members. You can tap on any of the members. And it has email address and phone. And if you're on your iPhone, you can tap on the phone number, and then you can make a call out of it. And we can view the agendas also. So it redirects you to board docs, and then you can view the agenda. And the app is available right now at the App Store. So if you go to App Store and search for Henry County, so it will come up the first app on the left. I've already installed, and it's free, so you can download it right now.
One of the other features that Teway didn't pull up is the school information. So you can very quickly call individual schools, and all the numbers are listed. And I believe there's a directory.
Yeah, on the lower left corner, schools.
There you go.
There's all the schools here listed, and then you can put information on the specific school.
The parents can quickly go to the website or call the school. So I think that's a nice feature.
And you can tap on the map and show the school location.
snow days last year, it did provide us with an opportunity to have additional training days for certain groups of employees, in particular our bus drivers, cafeteria, some of our paraprofessionals. So we did schedule training for areas such as behavior management, bullying issues, threat assessment. We did a lot of training with first aid and CPR and so forth. So we feel really good about the training that we were able to provide. We took an unfortunate situation and we turned it into a very positive opportunity. We need to really build that in every year so that we make sure that all of our staff members are well trained in various areas.
I'm glad to hear we're proactive because, and I think that I talked to some bus drivers and they were said it was very worthwhile. Or sometimes people, some of the development classes are so-so, but they said it was very, very advantageous to prevent the stuff before it gets out of hand.
And we've received a lot of very positive feedback, and some of our bus drivers really have found it challenging to deal with some of the issues, so we gave them a lot of really good strategies. I know Mrs. Scott was involved in that. Mr. Bowens, I know you were as well. Mr. Bolcher, so we feel really good about the training.
Other comments? Dr. Cotton, I'm always constantly impressed and amazed when we go through what's going on in our schools with us. Is there any way that information can be put on the website so parents can see those things?
I'm glad you asked because we send out our monthly highlights through our e-blast every month, and we also post them on our website. As a matter of fact, I have a link on my page where we list all of the highlights, and that's why it's so important. Not only are we trying to show how we're implementing our strategic plan, but every time we go through those, we learn so much about all the great things going on in our schools, and we want people to know all the great work that's going on, and some of it, I actually witness when I visit schools, but I'm always impressed with some of the good things on our schools. I hope you all are proud too of what you're hearing, because we have some folks who are working hard every day.
We don't have a local government channel on TV.
We are working on it.
Something like this on a monthly basis would just be great to go out to the public, because sometimes I think people focus in on negative, singular incidents that they see or hear about rather than on the overall picture of many positives that are taking place in our school system.
We are working on that. We're trying to figure out a way that we can get our message out on a public channel, and we've been investigating that already. You all know that Star News and Channel 18 has been working a little bit with us on a couple of our promotional videos, and I don't know if you picked up on it, but they've been running a few of our promotional videos on their station for free, which I thought was very positive, but we really need to develop a plan to get the message out there, because that's where people hear about Henry County schools, on television, and that's why we're on Facebook now. We were trying to avoid Facebook, but that's where our families are. So we are embracing Facebook as well. So we need to get the message out.
I would also suggest that our local paper does an excellent job of covering our meetings, and they have an online version. I wonder if we could collaborate with them to include hyperlinks, for instance, to your report in the online version. I don't know, something like that's, I mean, I know it would be easy to do. I don't know if that's something that can be considered.
Good thought. We do have a very positive relationship with Paul Collins over there from the Bulletin. We do collaborate, but certainly something we can talk more about.
Another real quick update, maybe membership is still holding pretty positive for us.
Yes, we're still looking at approximately 150 students over what we projected, so which is very positive. I want to see that continue to maintain over the next few years. What concerns me is we went down and then we went up, and then so we want to go up and stay up. So we're excited about that increase, and
service. The project that we're working on is a service learning project. So really we're looking at that as being kind of, I say pilot, but really a model that we're going to implement, and then we can look at expanding that. We also have implemented the leadership course at middle school, which is our attempt to see how we can get our students more involved in community service. We have not made the decision yet to make it required for every graduate yet, but part of what we're doing now is just seeing how that will work and how it will be monitored. One of the challenges you run into is you have to be prepared to tell a student they're not going to graduate because they did not meet certain requirements. And what we're hearing more and more is there aren't enough slots for all of our students to do community service. So we're dabbling into this right now, and depending on how that goes, we'll be making some decisions. But we heard you say that, and we wanted to start it on a smaller scale, and then we can certainly go from there. School divisions who have implemented that, a lot of them have backed off of it. They said that it's a recommendation, or it's rather than an expectation, because they've had issues with telling a student, guess what, you're not graduating because you didn't meet your community service requirement. And so those are all things that we'll have to keep an eye on as we work on that. Do you want to add anything to that, Mrs. Strayer?
It was true. We had several meetings to talk about that because it's something that a lot of us do want to do, but just where we place the kids, transportation issues for some of our students who live out further away, and those kinds of issues we need to be able to answer for students once we make it requirement.
And the Beta clubs and the Honor Society, they all have community service requirements as well, but we are experimenting a little bit with it, so hopefully we'll get a little further along with making recommendations. I know you brought that up a few times.
I think even the option of having that available, even if it's just an elective, that would be something that would go on a high school transcript and would send a message to colleges or to prospective employers that this student has been involved in community service.
Because we've even talked about having an award for our graduates, Graduate of Distinction Award or something, where they have met certain community service requirements. So we're talking about several different options. So we haven't landed yet on what we're going to do division-wide, but we are on a smaller scale. We're trying some of these things.
Any other items from the board?
I had raised a question to Dr. Cotton and a copy of the board members about equity of stipends for coaching and et cetera. Were you prepared to comment any further about that, Dr. Cotton?
What I'd like to do is I'm going to pull some information together that I'm going to send out to the board just to tell the board how we determine the stipends, how they are not just for band but for coaches as well. And we also have a form and a formula that we use that I will share. And also we do provide band directors with additional days to their contract. And I want to make sure that I make the board aware of that as well. But depending on after the board receives that information, certainly I'm sure that we'll have further discussion about it.
Thank you.
Other matters? You have in your board packet a reminder of upcoming dates. This coming week, November the 12th, take the legislature to school. Do you have any information on that?
This is Patrick. Do you want to respond to that? We have invited them. I don't know if you come up to the
Unfortunately, the U.S. Senate will be back in session at that time, so we've had a few RSVPs of regret. At this time, Senator Stanley plans to come that day, and he's also excited to know that he has the opportunity to hear General Vi speak, because the tour at New College will also take place at the same time General Vi is there. So we are working to merge those opportunities because General Vi's visit had not been extended to that day when we had initially planned Take Your Legislator to School Day. So I'm working with his office this afternoon to coordinate those times efficiently and effectively for him, for his visit. So we'll be sharing some more information with you in your Friday board gram.
Okay.
attend any of those, we definitely would invite you to come out on Tuesday to Pasadena Community College at 9:30. We'll be giving a speech out there to the veterans. It's free and open to the public.
He is a graduate of former George Washington Carver High School.
Right.
Certainly welcome him back to this area. Please note on your schedule there that our December meeting is a 6 o'clock meeting here in this room. Conference is coming up later this month, the annual school board conference in Williamsburg. And you have the others listed there that we encourage you to take advantage of any of those. I guess you just need to make sure that Mrs. Ogilvy has your commitment to attend. This time we'll move upstairs for a work session. Mrs. Landon will be presenting a review of the teacher performance evaluation process. That is, they're an open session, so anyone and everyone who's present here is welcome to stay in on that work session. So we'll move up there at this time. Presentation regarding evaluation.
Before you start, this is the follow-up to the retreat. If you all remember, when we planned for the retreat, we got some additional topics that the board members wanted to discuss, and we couldn't do it all. We had a busy day that day. We couldn't do everything. So over the course of this semester, we're trying to go back and pick up those areas, and board members wanted to know more about how our performance evaluation process is going. So I asked Mrs. Landon to go ahead and provide you an update.
Good morning again. Thank you. Our Envision 2018 Goal 2 focuses on high-quality professionals, which indicates that Henry County Schools will be directed by highly qualified professionals. That, of course, focuses on a lot more than just recruiting and hiring high-quality professionals. It also includes making sure that we provide the right professional development, resources, and support, which for teachers includes having a very good, it's critical to have a very good teacher performance evaluation system. The primary purposes of the evaluation system are to improve student achievement, to contribute to the successful achievement of the goals of our strategic plan, to provide a basis for instructional improvement, through productive teacher appraisal and professional growth, and really to share collaborative responsibility for evaluation between the evaluator and the teacher. The Virginia Code actually dictates almost all of the requirements of the teacher performance evaluation system, so we don't have as much flexibility as many people might think with regards to that. The code does require that teacher evaluations be consistent with the performance standards included in the Board of Education's guidelines for uniform performance standards and evaluation criteria for teachers, and also that school boards develop procedures in evaluating instructional personnel that address student academic progress. Several years ago, the Virginia Board of Education put together a work group that went back and reevaluated the guidelines that were in place at that time, and to revise and implement new guidelines and standards that became effective July 1st of 2012. Pursuant to state law, the teacher evaluations must be consistent with the 7 standards that are approved by the Board of Education, which include professional knowledge, instructional planning, instructional delivery, assessment of and for student learning, learning environment, professionalism, and student academic progress. The Board of Education also provides us with guidelines for what the weighting of each of those standards should be, and those guidelines indicate 10% for each of the first 6 standards, and then that student academic progress should be weighted 40% of that overall evaluation. While the Department of Education implemented a work group to basically revise and put all of these standards together, Henry County Schools, when we found out that this was going to be implemented, Henry County Schools put together a teacher performance evaluation design team as well, who went through and really evaluated all of the guidelines, made sure that they understood and knew how to appropriately communicate and train the guidelines with all of our principals and teachers, and also to customize where we had the flexibility to do that. One of the places that really came into play was with performance indicators. So the expectations for professional performance within this evaluation instrument are defined using a two-tiered approach. First, there are the 7 performance standards, and for each of those standards, there is a list of performance indicators that has been developed by our school division, by the design team, with guidance from teachers and principals and others in the school division. And those indicators are very specific and very comprehensive. They're not all inclusive, but the performance indicators have been developed to provide examples of observable, tangible behaviors that will occur if the standard is being met. So it provides a lot of clarity and really articulates what are required to make sure that standards are being met. They're not all inclusive, of course, and they're not limited. So not every teacher is going to be demonstrating every single performance indicator. It's going to depend on the situation and what he or she is teaching. With regards to evaluation cycles, the cycle varies depending on whether the teacher is probationary or continuing contract. Probationary teachers are evaluated annually. Continuing contract teachers are evaluated every 3rd year, or they can be evaluated more frequently at the discretion of the principal or the division superintendent. Historically, most teacher performance evaluation instruments have focused on classroom observation, and that is an excellent data point. However, it is a snapshot in time. This performance evaluation system relies upon multiple data sources for student progress, and what that helps and assists with is that it provides a much more comprehensive list of the teacher's job responsibilities and takes into consideration the complexities of the job. So multiple data sources include observations, student surveys, student progress, as well as documentation logs. Another data point is self-evaluation. This is the teacher's voice in the process. So the teacher is asked annually when they are going through this process to provide a self-assessment that helps them to really evaluate their effectiveness and their adequacy in their practice, and also helps to enhance and impact student learning. Observations are also an important data point. They can take a variety of forms. It can be formal, it can be informal, they can be classroom observations, they can be announced or unannounced, and they can take place within the classroom or outside of the classroom. Now, for a formal observation, it is going to take place in the classroom. Again, could be announced or unannounced, and is going to be at least 20 minutes in duration, and will also include a post-conference with the teacher. Student surveys are also included. There is a comprehensive manual that lays all of this out, explains everything to the principals and the teacher, gives rubrics, provides examples, really clearly articulates how all of this works. It does also include sample, age-appropriate student surveys. The teachers do conduct the student surveys themselves, and they maintain the data themselves, but it helps provide them with additional feedback for improvement. The teachers also use documentation logs, and the documentation logs really allow them to provide artifacts that show more comprehensively the work that they do day in and day out, and it provides valuable information to the evaluator for information that he or she probably is not going to see in a normal classroom observation or visit. Student achievement goal setting is also included. It focuses on student results. It really connects teaching to the learning, and it improves instructional practices and teacher performance. Each teacher is required to develop 2 SMART goals each year as part of this process. As you can see from the graphic, the SMART goals are specific in nature, measurable, appropriate, realistic, and time-bound, and they feed into the evaluation system. As part of the manual, as I mentioned, there are performance appraisal rubrics for each of the 7 performance standards. This is an example of one that you can see for professional knowledge, so it makes it much, much clearer for teachers to understand what is required of them and what they would need to be doing to be rated at each of the 4 ratings, which are exemplary, proficient, developing or needs improvement, and unacceptable. Proficient is the expected level of performance, both at each standard level as well as at the summative evaluation level. So at the summative evaluation level, again, exemplary, proficient, developing, needs improvement, and unacceptable, and there are also definitions to clarify what is expected to obtain those ratings. And at the summative evaluation level, if a teacher receives an unacceptable rating on one or more of the 7 performance standards, then the teacher will receive an overall rating of either developing, needs improvement, or unacceptable. Likewise, if the teacher receives 3 or more developing needs improvement ratings from among the 7 performance standards, then he or she may be rated unacceptable. This is an example of how the weighted calculations feed into the overall rating. This teacher received proficient ratings on 6 of the 7 standards and an exemplary on 1, and received an overall summative rating of proficient. So how are our teachers performing? We just completed the 2nd year of using this instrument. We've started into the 3rd. Again, remember that not all teachers are evaluated every year. If they're continuing contract, they're only evaluated most of the time once every 3 years. 205 teachers were evaluated in the 2013-14 school year, and of those, 96.59% performed at proficient or above. So in summary, the teacher performance evaluation system is aligned with Virginia Code, as well as with the guidelines for the Uniform Performance Standards and evaluation criteria for teachers, and Virginia standards for the professional practice of teachers. It is a comprehensive evaluation tool that truly takes into account the complexities of a teacher's role, as well as the full range of teacher responsibilities, and it helps to make the tool more objective for the evaluator who is trying to work with them. And for the 2013-14 evaluation year, nearly 97% of Henry County Schools teachers evaluated performed at proficient or above. What questions can I answer for you?
What's the recommended number of classroom observations administrators should do?
For probationary teachers, they are recommended to do a minimum of 3 formal observations per year. But for continuing contract, that's usually 2. But again, keep in mind that those are formal observations. So they can be conducting formal observations, informal observations, walkthroughs, which can be in the classroom or outside of the classroom, and they are evaluating multiple data points. So observation is one factor in a number of different data points that are being evaluated for each teacher.
Now, in the high schools, a lot of teachers are evaluated by assistant principals because there's so many different teachers. But ultimately, the principal is responsible for the final figures. Is that correct?
Ultimately, the principal needs to know what's going on if the assistant principal is evaluating, but you are correct.
Following up on what Mr. Zayer said, the principal would have to be the individual to make a recommendation of acceptable dismissal, plan, or improvement.
Absolutely, and of course keep in mind that were a principal to recommend a teacher for non-renewal or dismissal, that would not be a surprise to a teacher. The teacher would have already been on a performance improvement plan for a period of time to give them opportunity to receive additional support and resources, to make sure that all of the expectations have been clearly articulated to them. So, even if the assistant principal is normally doing the observations and conducting the evaluations, if they've reached a point that they've gone to a performance improvement plan, then the principal is certainly going to be far more actively involved, with the understanding that if a recommendation ever had to be made, it would have to come from the principal, and Dr. Cotton would want to know specifically from them, all of the reasons that that recommendation is being made.
So a teacher who is on continuing contract status could still be placed on a plan of improvement following their cycle for a summative evaluation?
They could, but it would not necessarily be following the summative evaluation if, because they're only evaluated once every 3 years in most cases. If there are performance issues that are arising in the course of that, and it's on a non-evaluation year, then they could be placed on a plan at other times as well, or they could be evaluated in a year that is not the third year of their cycle, even if they've not been placed on a performance improvement plan.
Position I was trying to get to. So if they were placed on a plan of improvement during a non-cycle year, they still would probably have been observed.
If they're placed on a plan of improvement, then they have to be evaluated during that year. There's no way to avoid that.
It is my expectation that the administrators observe all teachers throughout the year on a regular basis. And just as Mrs. Landon said, if you see areas of concern, then a principal can say, you're going to be evaluated this year. Whether you don't wait 3 years to start talking about problems or issues that need to be addressed. But what I expect is they tell that teacher why. Here's the things I'm seeing. Here's some concerns I have. This is why you're going to be evaluated this year, and that's important. You don't, just arbitrarily evaluate them off cycle. You tell them why, and you can tell them what you're looking for. And if it gets to where they have to go on a plan, then that can happen as well. But we can't wait 2 and 3 years to deal with an issue. Sometimes teachers don't understand that. They think, well, why am I being evaluated? It's not my year. Well, any year could be your year based on observation.
The 40% of the summative evaluation that's tied to academic progress seems that's kind of a tough one, I think. That's not totally subjective, is it? I mean, there's some actual measures there that we can kind of count.
And the teachers are responsible for developing their own SMART goals in collaboration with the principal or with the evaluator. So they certainly have a voice in what those SMART goals are, what measures they're using, what the target levels are that they base that upon. And it does vary depending on what role the teacher has. Some of them are using math assessment data, some are using SOL data. It depends on the type and nature of the teaching that they do.
Do all teachers develop those SMART goals, or just the ones that are under some?
All teachers develop the SMART goals. They do. And one thing that I didn't mention, but it's probably good to note for you, is that because this is required by the state, and because the state has given us specific guidelines, at the beginning of every school year, I do have to complete a report for the Virginia Department of Education to indicate whether or not we are following these guidelines, whether or not these are the exact 4 performance ratings that we're using, that these are the exact 7 performance standards that we're using, and that we are weighting them at 10% for each of the first 6 and 40% for student academic achievement.
How long could a teacher stay on the plan of improvement?
It depends on whether or not they're showing any progress. It's hard to give a hard and fast answer to that, although it really shouldn't be more than a year.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, we wouldn't want situations where a person stayed on their continuing contract and they stay on the plan of improvement indefinitely. And I know.
It shouldn't be more than a year, because if it is more than a year, then what we know is that the teacher's performance is directly connected to the student's learning. So if the teacher's not performing to the standards and to the expectations, then our students are suffering from that. But when a teacher is placed on a performance improvement plan, that also is very specific in terms of if these are the standards that they're not meeting, and these are the reasons they're not meeting those standards, then what resources and support are the evaluators providing to them to make sure that they meet them, and what are the follow-ups? When are meetings going to be scheduled to follow up with them? And the principals are not just saying you're not doing these right and leaving them alone. They are providing a lot of support and resources and following up with them frequently to make sure that they're giving them every opportunity to meet the expectations and to improve and to come off of the performance improvement plan. It's not a punitive tool. It's an improvement tool.
That really addresses my next question, that particularly probationary teachers that are in the first 3 years, if it's determined they need to be on the improvement plan, you're saying, I hope what I want to hear is they're not just left there, that there's a lot of support for them before they come to that cutoff point of continuing contract.
That's correct. And they're not placed there as a means to get them non-renewed either. They're placed on that to get them the resources and the help that they need so that hopefully they can meet the expectations.
Yeah, nobody comes to work to fail. Our teachers want to do a good job. And what I expect of our administrators is they need to provide that support, and specifically I look for that in their improvement plans. What are you doing to help them? And the majority of our teachers that are struggling, they want to improve. They want to do a better job. Every once in a while you'll have someone who's not wanting to put forth the effort, but my experience has been, for the most part, they want to do whatever they can to improve their practice.
And I hope, I'm sure that there's a similar type of evaluation process for administrators also.
Yes, the evaluation instrument for principals and
The one you
assistant
use for me,
principals, as well as for the division superintendent, follow a very similar process with the performance standards and the ratings.
Who actually conducts those evaluations?
I do. I do have support from Mr. Bullens and Mrs. Strayer. We split up the principals where I evaluate all of them, but one of them goes with me to half of them, and the other one goes to the other half. But it's important to provide that feedback.
Well, I just see from your monthly calendar that you're meeting with principals right there all the time.
It's important. It's very time consuming, but it's important because what happens in the school is what we're all about. So I feel really good about our visits, and we take them through that evaluation, and we take a couple standard, but every time we visit, and every time I visit, I ask for data to show how the students are performing throughout the year. And they also establish SMART goals, which are the same as the SMART goals for their school improvement plan. So we talk about those all year, and they receive the same ratings that you saw for the teachers. So they could have areas of needing improvement as well, depending on where they are with their SMART goals.
The number of observations, is that in writing?
The numbers that I quoted to you are it does quote a minimum of 3 for probationary teachers. It does not quote the number for continuing contract teachers.
And that's a lower number, and I was spoiled because I had some of the best administrators in the United States when I was teaching. I'm talking about Dr. Ball and Mrs. Maddox. I mean, they would come in the room for 5 or 10 minutes, numerous times. And that's what good administrators do. They
And-
can pop in and they can tell what's going on real quick.
And our administrators are doing the same sorts of things.
Right.
The numbers that I'm talking about, the 2s and 3s, those are formal observations. So those are observations that they actually use a form to write everything up, and they sit down and hold a post-conference with the teacher following the observation.
The reason I followed up on that is I think that quite a few of us received an email last year about questioning the number of observations and did not have specific, I did not have a specific answer.
And the teacher performance evaluation system manual, as I mentioned, it is a comprehensive manual. It is included in PDF on the HR page of the Henry County Public Schools website, and the section on observations is on page D15.
Is there any type of appeal process other than just a letter from the teacher rebuttal, or anything other than that?
Not specifically for teacher performance evaluation. I mean, of course, we have the grievance procedure, but not specifically for evaluation.
And sometimes they provide a follow-up letter that can be attached to the evaluation, which some have opted to do. Other than that, there's not a formal process.
Well, I was really glad to see the percentages there. That's from last year of teachers who are really proficient or exemplary. I think sometimes everybody thinks they're exemplary, and sometimes even the best are not exemplary, if that's a real standard.
And if you read the definitions in the ratings and the rubrics, it takes a great deal to be exemplary because it's consistently exceeding expectations.
What we tell people is that you need to go for proficient. That's what you're aiming. But of course, we have teachers that want to be exemplary in everything, but proficient is the goal.
Is type of evaluation that I'm more familiar with, saying that your evaluation must show growth. So you cannot start out with a person being exemplary, because where are you going to grow from that?
If a teacher gets 100% on the SOLs, they would be considered an exemplary teacher?
It would depend on whether or not the SOL data was part of their SMART goals, and then of course it would still only be one of the mandatory 2 minimum SMART goals, and then that accounts for 40% of the overall summative rating.
You don't find as many of them using the SOL data in their SMART goal because you have one data point at the end of the year, whereas with math and some of those other assessments, you can show growth throughout the year. So a lot of them are leaning more toward those kinds of assessments.
Are there additional questions?
Growth might differ a lot. You might be helpful on that particular item to grow. Not necessarily mean that your students all score 100. And make progress. Okay, other questions or comments?
I have clarification.
Sure.
If I understood you correctly, you said in the formal evaluation that the teacher does not need to be told that you're coming in?
In the formal observation?
Yes.
In the formal observation, they can be announced or unannounced. At least one will be announced, but not all of them.
Okay.
Typically, principals will let the teachers select the first one, and the other 2 will be unannounced. And that's for obvious reasons. You don't want to, don't want them all to be announced.
Right, yeah.
But even though the requirement is there for 20 minutes, we do, many of our principals stay longer than that because you want to see a lesson in its entirety. They won't necessarily happen in 20 minutes. But at least 20 minutes they have to be for that. Correct? So 20 minutes.
Certainly in high school, 90-minute block classes, I would hope they stay on 20 minutes of the 90. Okay,
hopefully this answered a lot of the questions that you had, so we wanted to make sure you had that opportunity.
And the bottom line, I think we have to keep in mind is that this evaluation system all kind of had its development genesis from what the state Board of Education is requiring.
Yes,
It's
sir.
not something we just pulled out of the sky and said this is the way we're going to do it. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hanson. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session in accordance with section 2.2-3711, print A, print 1, of Virginia appointments and separations of personnel and superintendent's contracts. Same section, print A, print 2, Code of Virginia Student Matters. Same section, print 3, of the Code of Virginia Acquisition of Real Property. Same section, print 8, print 7, Code of Virginia Legal Matters. We'll have a motion to that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor of this motion signify by raising your right hand. We will formally go into closed session. We need a motion, first of all, to return to regular session.
So moved.
Second. Those in favor of this motion signify by raising your right hand. Ms. Oldby, will you please certify the closed session?
Whereas the school board of Henry County has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. Whereas section 2.2-3712.d of the Code of Virginia requires the certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the school board of Henry County hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Reverend Alford?
Yes.
Dr. Duvall?
Yes.
Ms. Maddox?
Yes.
Mr. Milner?
Yes.
Dr. Stanbaugh?
Yes.
And Mr. Zay?
Yes.
Thank you.
We have several motions coming out of closed session. The first motion refers to the personnel report and addendum. Mr. Alker, I believe you have that motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the personnel report and the addendum attached.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that these two reports be accepted as presented. Those in favor of this motion signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Ms. Maddox, you have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that the recommendations of the special placement and non-resident students be accepted as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that this motion be approved. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Mr. Sager, do you have motions?
Mr. Chairman, in student case number 14-RE-15 and student case number 15-RE-15, I move that the student be released from compulsory attendance under 22.1-254B.1 of the Code of Virginia based on the affidavit or declaration submitted to the school board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second regarding these requests. Those in favor of this motion signify by raising your right hand. I believe that concludes all motions coming out of closed session. At this time, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.